Welcome to an SFB Addict video. Alright, here we have a game of 3 Kzinti Frigates, DF Frigates, versus 3 Klingons, and it's 2 F5 frigates and an F5D drone frigate. So here we're just showing on the map the range. And zooming in to show you the strength of the shielding and the arrangement of the ships and the ECM levels. Now I started the recording of the log a little late here. It's actually Impulse 3. The Klingons have launched 3 shuttles. The Klingons are going speed 12. The shuttles, of course, are going speed 6. Just readjusting the map. As you can see in the notes window, the very first bottom line is turn 1, 3 shuttles launched, and then there's 3 launches of drones from the Kzinti. Okay, opening up the Federation SSD area, which is where we put the checklists for what rules were being used, since neither one of us was playing Federation. So you can pause and read through these here. So these are the rules that are in effect for this game. And this is what the SSD area looks like for the Klingon and the Kzinti. It's just a counter representing which ship is which beside the energy allocation form for that ship. And that's because the SSDs, or Starship datasheets we're using here, are for the full SFB game, not Cadet. And we're not allowed to put those graphic SSDs into the game, but here's a brief look at what the ships look like. So again, a Kzinti drone frigate. Six drone racks, 2 phaser 3s, 2 phaser 1s, and 1 disruptor. Double drone control, so we can handle 12 drones. So it has a C8 refit, plus the 12 drones, or plus the 6 drones, which is another 12 points of BPV. And then we have an F5 frigate, which has 1 drone, 1 ADD rack, 2 phaser 1s up in the head, 2 disruptors, 3 phaser 2s in the rear, and 1 shuttle. It does have the B and K refits. And its drone racks are B racks because of that. Here's the F5 drone frigate. It has 5 drone racks, 5 phaser 2s, no ADD. So again, there's 1 F5D, 2 F5 frigates versus 3 Kzinti drone frigates. The battle is year 169. And it's about 270 something BPV. The Kzinti actually had 8 BPV worth left over to spend on T-bombs and specials, because the Klingon had to pay extra for the drone cruiser's drones. as I open up the sequence of play impulse caller here, you'll see we're starting on impulse 3. That's because I started the log file late. And almost everything that you see happening on turn 1 is just maneuvering. The Kzinti's launching drones constantly, and he's launching them one drone at a time from each ship. So there's a lot of drones on the map that are spread out all over. And here, playing back this recording, I'm about to try and open up the Kzinti units only, but I forgot that these are restricted by race, so only the Kzinti can open that window. So unfortunately I'm going to have to use the units on map 100% window to show you the Kzinti units. Although I suppose I could have used the 50% window, but anyway. At least this way, hopefully the shielding and stuff like that will be a little bit easier to see. So as you can see, there's 3 Klingon drones that have been released. Or sorry, 3 Kzinti drones that have been released from the ships, and there's 3 scatter packs waiting to release their drones. And we're just going to zip through the impulses here. And as you see, the Kzinti has sent 1 drone frigate off to the right side of the map, where he's moving 2 of the frigates to the left side of the map, where the Klingon has clustered all 3 of their ships together in a triangular pattern with the 2 DFBK frigates, the ones with the disruptors in front and the drone cruiser behind. If I really would have thought about this, it probably would have been better to put the drone frigate in front. At least that way its drones could have been launched to intercept the Kzinti drones a little bit more effectively. But anyway, we're up and around impulse 9. At this point, I believe the Klingon drones are about to release. Yep, there we go. The Klingon drones are now on the map. And then the Klingon tractors his shuttles on the next impulse and starts pulling them in to dock them, and then does a mid-turn speed change up from speed 12 to speed 24. And the Kzintis are in here at speed 22. All of the disruptors on these ships are limited to a maximum range of 15. The Kzinti player is playing on a laptop, so moving his, without a number pad by the way, so moving his drones is a little bit more tedious, especially since he's got them spread out, 1 drone at a time. I just popped up the sector map here to kind of give you a rough idea how big the map is. It's I think 80 by 60 hexes, so it's a big map. We are using Discord to talk to one another back and forth during the game, so a lot of what you would normally see typed in the chat is actually happening verbally. Later on in the game, we had an observer join us and start watching the game, so we started using the SOP steps button to play sounds, so he would have a rough idea what it was we were doing. And because the Kzinti player had spread his ships out like he did, it meant that we were both using maps that were zoomed really small. If his ships had all remained close together, and as the two fleets approached one another, we could have been zooming in to get bigger hexes and more easily see the ships. Well, yeah, scatter packs released on 9, they were tracked on 10, shuttles were pulled in around 11 or 12 or 13. And the rest of the turn is pure maneuver. The Kzinti turned his other ship away, and I pointed out to him that if he goes beyond 35 hexes, he would drop the drones he was controlling. So at that point he started turning back in and around. And sometimes you'll see a Kzinti drone sort of spin around and do a 360. That's because he's trying to hit control left and control right to rotate his drones, and as soon as he finds a key that rotates it properly, he just keeps going in the 360. Again, using the number pad for movement is a lot easier, but it's a laptop and it didn't have a number pad. You'll notice when the Klingons move, they all move all at once. That's because I can click and drag and highlight all my counters, and then use the number pad to move them all at the same time. And the same thing with my drones. Since they were all moving forward, I just click, drag, highlight them all, and move them all forward all at the same time. Here at the end of the first turn, one Klingon ship got within range 15 of one Kzinti ship, and so he fires, but all the damage is reinforced by battery. And the Kzinti does some firing at drones long range with phaser ones. When he wrote his orders into the rolling, it was a bit confusing because he wasn't exactly clear what ship was firing at what range, at what targets when he was doing the rolling, so I didn't know if he was rolling for the ship at range 9 or if he was rolling for the ship at range 8. But anyway, he ended up missing with most of his fire on the drones and ended up doing, I think, like 1 point of damage to one drone. And by spreading the drones out like he has, the Kzinti's actually done the Klingon a favor because it allows the allows the Klingon to close on the Kzinti drones. one by one and ADD them down one by one instead of being swamped with drones all at once. So it allows the Klingon more maneuvering space and more space to try and maintain a range 3 for the ADD fire at the drones to take them out as he needs to take them out. With these 6 particular ships, the Kzinti actually has a fire superiority at point-blank range over the Klingon, and that should have been the tactic. All the ships together and try and get as close to the Klingon ships as quickly as possible, and then once they were within range, then let loose with 18 drones. And somewhere around this point we started having trouble with the Discord voice chat. I was right in the middle of applying damage, so I told him not to worry about the sound, finished doing his damage, and we'll worry about the sound in a minute. And as we get closer here, I try and zoom in the map a little bit better so we can see a bit better for the playback here for this video recording. And then we start doing turn 2, and the Klingons come in at a higher speed, 24 I believe. Drops most of the electronics. I think the drone frigate kept 3 defensive. I think the Kzinti maintained speed at speed 22 this turn, and again didn't really have any electronics up. Again, not much happens for most of the turn until we get close to the end. Here the Klingon decides to turn away from the 2 Kzinti ships on the left and instead go after the one lone Kzinti, because odds are better 3 versus 1 than they are 3 versus 2. The Kzinti drones are just moving in a wave kind of thing, chasing the Klingons. The Klingon is actually rather lazy with his drone movement and kind of screwed up some movements. They should have actually intercepted all 3 drones if the Klingon player was paying attention, but he moved them badly. And then as the Klingon gets closer to the drone wave, he starts using ADDs to knock them out of the sky. ADDs are a slug fired at high speed that has a 50% chance of hitting at range 3, and if it hits, it kills the drone automatically. And he's got a magazine of 12, so he can fire 12 of these in one turn. And I think I fired on turn 2 probably 18 or 19 times. I think I took out 4 or 5 drones. So the die rolls for the ADD were rather bad this entire turn for the Klingon. So as the Klingon is firing ADDs here, I'm just going through the steps a little bit slower here, trying to show you what it is that the Klingon is firing at. And the Klingon has 3 stacks of drones, which each have 6 drones in them that were released from the scatter packs, which are 2 of them are chasing the 2 ships over on the left, and 1's chasing the 1 Kzinti ship on the right. And because of the distances and the speeds, they're pretty much useless. The Kzinti just maneuvers around them, although they did serve the purpose in keeping the Kzinti farther away with the 2 ships from the Klingon 3 ships by having to maneuver around them. I believe it's on Impulse 14, thereabouts, where the Klingon ships mid-turn speed change from speed 24 up to speed 30 to try and get a mad dash and get within range 8 of the lone Kzinti DF. And the Klingons again firing ADDs at drones. He kills 1 drone with ADD that one of his drones is actually tracking. And here there's a little bit of confusion as to which Klingon drone is targeted on which Kzinti drone, so we slowly go through that impulse trying to make sure we got the right drone going after the right drone. Not as if it's going to matter much because of the speeds of the ship, they never really close. That's part of the reason why the Klingon was a little bit lazy with his drone movement, is that he realized he was going to be going higher speed and blowing past them, so he didn't really pay much attention to the proper movement here. And here we just did a little discussion on how I should have moved my drones before I deleted them. So two of my drones, or 3 of my drones, ended up taking out 3 Kzinti drones. And again, the Klingon is slowly firing ADDs at drones. The Klingon could turn right and go around the drones and not bother with the ADD fire, but that reduces his chances of getting to range 8 of that lone Kzinti DF by the end of the turn. And on the other side of the map, you can see the two Kzinti ships are still outmaneuvering the 12 Klingon drones that are over there from the scatter packs. Matter of fact, they're about range 20 to 25 away from the Klingon ships, so they're actually outside of disruptor range, which is why the Klingon's pretty much ignoring them. So the left-hand side of the map is pretty much irrelevant for the rest of this game. It's just drones moving and ships outmaneuvering drones over on that side. And here the Klingon accidentally didn't move a ship. It should have moved forward. And it causes a little bit of confusion on Kzinti drone movement, but once it's thought about, the Kzinti realizes it wouldn't have made much of a difference because he ended up side-slipping closer away. It would have been a turn instead of a side-slip, and it still ended up getting where it needed to be, and it was still outran because it's speed 30. It really wouldn't have mattered. And we actually backed up the impulse to kind of figure that out. So you'll see the Klingon ships get temporarily moved backwards and then move forward again. That was just us figuring out what would have happened with the drones. And the Klingon here ended up having to tractor one drone that was off as number 1 because the ADD rolls that were fired at multiple ones in succession kept missing. So it was put in tractor, and then the further back F5K kept firing an ADD at it to try and kill it. I believe it actually ran out of all of its ADDs trying to do that, continually missing at range 3. If it wasn't for all the Klingon ADD fire at the drones, these impulses would have sped through much quicker. And here we can see the really bad shots from the F5 number 1, that's 3 hexes away from the drone, that's in tractor beam, continually missing with each shot. Okay, and as we approach the end of the turn here, you're going to see the Kzinti's DF up in the top right-hand corner take some fire from the Klingon ships, knocking down its back shield to, I think, 4 points. The map will zoom in on the ship when that happens. It ended up firing 4 disruptors, 2 at range 8 and 2 at range 9, 4 phaser 1s, 2 of which were at range 8 and 2 of which were at range 9. And all that was at the Kzinti DF number 3. And the Klingon didn't look closely enough at his drone frigate. He thought the 2 front phasers were actually phaser 1s, not phaser 2s. He found out they were phaser 2s when he went to fire them. So the Klingon did 11 damage to a 14 or 16 shield or something like that. 15 shield maybe, something like that. I just popped open the Text SSD. That's what they look like. And now we start zooming in on the ship to show you the actual damage to the shield. Sorry, it's a 12-point shield that took 11 damage, and the Kzinti reinforced it with 3 battery, which is why I kept 4. I think I may change the coloring of the Text SSD from being green on yellow to being black on yellow. Okay, so he turns up to get a fresh shield facing the Klingons. And the Klingon, again at range 8 and range 9, ends up firing his back-end phaser 3s from each ship, so it was 9 phaser 2s in total, 9 phaser 2s it fired. This time I believe it was enough to punch through the shield. Yeah, it did 16 damage to a 12-point shield, and the batteries were already used, so it did 4 internals. And that was a forward hull, aft hull, a phaser, and auxiliary control. And again, we open up the Text SSD to show you the damage. because these are just lines of text, as the things get damaged, he just backspaces them off to delete them. And he accidentally deleted off the right side phaser as well and then put it back in. So these drone cruisers actually had a bridge, EMR bridge, and an auxiliary control. So 3 control spaces. And I'm just typing "got hit" on the line here for you watching the video to try and point out what got hit. The way I put these videos together, I step through the game log that was recorded, and I record the screen as I'm doing that. And then once that's done, I take the video, I watch it, and then I do the audio with Audacity and talk to you as it's being played to me. And then I put all those things in my video editor, Kdenlive, and then splice it all together. And again here, the Klingon fired a lone phaser 2 at a down shield, ended up doing 2 internals, and took another control box hit and a phaser hit. So the phaser 1 360 got hit here. We go into a turn 3 energy allocation and the like. Turn 1 impulse, or sorry, turn 3 impulse 1, impulse 2. The Klingon is just waiting for his weapons to cycle again so he can fire them again. The Kzinti launched 6 drones as one stack of 6 drones. And instead of turning left towards the 3 Klingon ships, he turns away. But of course that puts the weak number 4 shield to the 3 ships again. Okay, and then it's impulse 5, and the Klingon's weapons are up again. Or at least some of them are. He fires 2 disruptors at the 1-point shield, and he fires an ADD at the drone. So everything is at range 9 to 15 for the fire at the ship. It's a miss at the drone, and 1 disruptor hit the ship. So that's a 1-point shield, I believe, and did 2 internals. And more of the phasers and the like from previous turn are now able to fire again this turn. And they take out the stack of 6 drones that are in front of the ship, or at least they take out 5 of the 6. 5 of them die, 1 survives. There's nothing the Klingon can do. He's going to get hit with 1 drone. So he side slips to take it on a side shield, number 6. Leaving 4 points on the shield. Sorry, that disruptor fire wasn't at the Kzinti ship yet. I see he's still got a 1-point box on the shield as this recording is coming back. I think, yeah, he hit with 1 disruptor, was reinforced with another 3. That's why there's no damage on the shield yet. Now on this impulse, the Klingon is firing his other 2 disruptors. At the 1-point shield, that's already used 3 battery this turn for reinforcement. So no defensive electronics on the Kzinti. 1-point shield. And does 2 internals, and it takes out a torpedo and the remaining emergency bridge. The disruptor dies, and the remaining emergency bridge dies. At this point, the Kzinti is considered uncontrolled. It has no control boxes. And then we jumped 8 impulses. So the Kzinti moved his ship all at once for 8. And the other ships start moving. The amount of times they move during those set of 8 impulses. So at this point the Klingon has fired all of his weapons that he has available for the turn. He has drones available, but the Kzinti's moving much too quickly for them to catch, so they're not launched. And then at this point, the Kzinti announces his intention that he's just going to continue off and disengage. If we had actually played out the turn, top of turn 4, the Klingon probably could have fired more at it, but that was no point to it. The Kzinti was disengaging. The battle was won, and that's the game.